Today, my sourdough starter is the star of the show, and I would like to take you along and show you the many ways we use the sourdough starter this week. Hi, I'm Brittany, for those of you that are new, and also I don't normally sound like this. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. Feel great, but still sound terrible, so please bear with me. And I am going to take you through the week with my sourdough starter. Sourdough came into our life in 2021, and I've been hooked ever since. I guess I joined the boat along with everyone else when we were stuck at home, and I just started exploring all the different options of baking at home and just doing things more from scratch. And sourdough has a special place in my heart because that is where everything began for me, and trying to embrace a little bit more natural lifestyle and from scratch cooking and all the good things that come with that. And today we are doing some pizza dough. I decided a little while back that we should have this weekly, because why complicate things and come up with a bunch of new meals all the time when my family loves pizza? We are using excellent ingredients, and so it's basically healthy, guys. So we're not going to sweat it, and we're having a pizza night every week. And it's a highlight. So I am getting that started. I did that the night before. And so today I'm also getting our regular bread started, because as I've mentioned in other videos, it is just so helpful to have some bread ready to go in the fridge to throw in there in the oven to have hot bread with so many different meals. So getting that started here. We're sticking to it this week. When I do get lazy about that, I always regret it. So it was very helpful to have this. It really doesn't take hardly any time at all. I forget this every single time because I put it off a little bit, and then I go to do it and I'm like, why do I put this off? This is incredibly simple. And the stretch and folds are actually very therapeutic and fun. So I just get this started when the kids are busy doing something, and it's a little messy at first, but after you start doing those stretch and folds, it's pretty much not at all. So we just get that started, and there's definitely an importance to doing this that I don't always remember, but I love that my family is seeing me prioritize making our bread. And it would certainly be easier to get bread from the store, and we try to get decent quality flour, and we'll eventually get a grain meal so we can do our own wheat berries and just make it even more nutrient dense. But I just love that we can get the kids involved, and they're seeing that there's joy in the kitchen, and we're doing an important thing. And I want to teach them the value of knowing how to cook and being able to nourish your body without utilizing the store if you have to do something like that. So we are taking it one step at a time, and hopefully we can get there someday. We're certainly not there. We rely on the store a good bit still, but little steps do add up. So you can just see how with this bread, it just starts stretching so beautifully. It's not breaking at all. It's just folding over. And these stretch and folds are done about 15 to 20 minutes apart. And so it's not really that much time in between. And it just really starts taking shape before your eyes. It's the coolest thing. So I'm probably sharing these meal ideas in another video, because it just would have gotten insanely long if I showed you all the processes of each meal that I share today. So I'll do that in another video. But for these pizzas, when I get it out of the fridge, I separate it out into 4 pieces. We started doing the dough a little too quickly. I tend to forget, even though I do this pretty much weekly, that I need to have the pizza dough sit out a few before I mess with it. And so that's why you'll see me kind of messing with it. It got sticky because I didn't. So we're just going with it because this is how it is in real life. I'm not going to hide that from you. I'm just telling you what not to do. So it's fine though, because that's the thing. It can't ruin dinner. We still have to eat. So we just work with it. So I was adding some flour, a couple of them. I even had to take one back off the pan and mess with it before I could put it back on there. It was just ridiculous. Because obviously I never record on the times when this works out perfectly. But hey, this is more helpful, I think, because this just tends to happen when people are trying to make a nice meal. So you can see there was like little holes and stuff. So I just kind of pinched the dough together. I add some more flour. You know, it's not going to be as healthy, I guess, because it hasn't been soured. But it's fine. It's just a little bit. We aren't gluten-free or anything, so it's not a big worry for us. So I just prep my ingredients. As you can see my daughter there. Everyone's always needing something, even if I'm busy, but it's okay. So I actually made a sauce for this today. We were doing a different kind of pizza, and so I just hoped for the best. I'm like, we can just cover this up with sauce and cheese. It's fine. And it really was. It was delicious. So it was no issue at all. So it just kind of sticks a little bit more, which was no big deal, but just add that flour. And these are real quick and simple. They're just a matter of putting them in a cast iron, letting it heat the bottom of it while you're putting all of your ingredients on it. And then you just pop it in for about 2 to 3 minutes on broil, or 525 is what ours is, but on broil. And then you just pop them on there. So this is our cheese pizza that we always give the kids, and then we get special with ours. And that one, I believe I put a date sauce on it, and it was delicious. I love using all the things that we have. I like kind of mixing it up. I think my husband would have just the regular supreme or just pepperoni and cheese and be completely fine each week, but I get bored of that. I'm not a huge tomato sauce fan on pizza, unless it's got a bunch of other stuff on it. So we did that day for we had a lot of different ingredients on hand, so that was fun. And I am just taking that bread that I started earlier. It's been sitting on the counter all day, and so I am just rolling it up into the little balls, whatever technical term that is. Maybe some of you know, and you can tell me in the comments. I would love to know, so I sound like I know what I'm talking about. But that's the thing, guys, I really don't. It's all experience. It's not really anything I've learned technically. It's just we eat bread every week, and I enjoy making it, and it happens to be sourdough. So I have learned that it's very easy for me to start the bread in the morning and then have it in the fridge overnight, so that I have the flexibility to make the bread in the morning if I would like, or anytime from that point on. It's because these got done, and then I don't think I cooked them for a few days. And I was making these for a bake sale we were having. They asked if I would make some sourdough, which of course I am not going to deprive anyone of my sourdough. So I had those in the fridge just ready to go when we needed them. It was actually this day that we needed them. And so I'm starting out this morning with a quick Dutch baby, because I was going to be taking those artisan loaves to the church for the bake sale that morning, and I knew it was just going to kind of be a little bit of a rush with the kids and all that, so I figured let's do a Dutch baby. And we are finally starting to get more eggs from our chickens again. They had really slowed down, and I was having to buy store eggs. And there is nothing like feeding your chickens this top quality expensive food and then getting like one egg a day. It's really frustrating. So the girls are holding up their end of the bargain now, and we are in a happy place. So we've got eggs to use, and we get to use our raw milk in this. So it's just super nutrient dense. The kids love it, and it's super quick. So you can whisk it, but I didn't use quite a big enough bowl to really get in there, and I was like, this is stupid, this is taking way too long. So I changed my method. We put the butter in the pan so it can just kind of heat up and it's all melted. So I use my immersion blender instead. Way better. Definitely do that. Start that out so that you don't have to dirty two things. And when that butter is melted, I just pour it in. I kind of roll it around so the butter coats the pan, and just pour it in, and it's in there for probably about 15 to 20 minutes, up to 25 sometimes. I don't know why it's different sometimes, but it just is. To me, you don't overcook it for a while because it just gets more golden on the top. But no matter what, it always tastes good. It just tends to be different sometimes. Like sometimes it'll really puff up for me. You can see it just a little bit there, but not always. But it does always cut nicely and like come away from the pan easily. And we put some butter on top and some maple syrup. That is our favorite, and served it with some crispy, delicious bacon. All right, so remember how I was telling y'all that I was just going to share all the bad stuff and not pretend like everything goes well? This is a good example of that because is it just me, or is it any time that you need something to work out, like you're taking a meal to a new family, or something of that effect, where it's like, okay, this kind of needs to be edible and it preferably needs to taste good. Well, these breads, as you can tell, are completely sticking to the Banton baskets. I did not put near enough flour. I didn't even think about it when I was doing it. I just was kind of like, oh, this looks good, and went on it. But yeah, it did put near enough in there. And so it's sticking to it and pulling out all of the lovely bubbles, and but it's okay. The show must go on. So I just kind of am tucking it under there. I don't know if it makes a difference, but it does look better. And so we just went ahead, and I still just did my little scoring and said, you know what, it'll be okay. It'll still taste good. Hopefully it'll look good. And moved on to my next one, because I told them I would bring 2 loaves, because when I make this, it's a 2 loaf recipe anyway. So we did both, and so I did one longer loaf, and you'll see, of course, I did the same thing on this one too. So that was fun. But you know what? It turned out totally fine. And I think that can be an encouragement to those of you that may have had some fails or are kind of nervous to start with sourdough. You can see this is a complete disaster, and you'll see how pretty it turns out. And people were very, very happy with it. It sold immediately when I walked out the door, apparently, I was told. And they loved it. And I have the lady from my church, one of the ones that purchased it, wants me to bring her some sourdough starter so she can do her own. She said, I either need to start a business or I have to give her the recipe. So I said, okay, well, we're going to give you the recipe and I'll give you some starter. So I'm so excited about that. I've shared with my starter with like a ton of people. It's just something I'm super happy with, and I love getting to share it with people. It's a comfort knowing that my sourdough starter is all over my town. So I'm just packaging these up, trying to make them look good. Like I said, they ended up turning out pretty. See, it's a miracle, but you just can really screw it up and it's still fine. If you guys saw my last video, I mentioned these chocolate chips that I'm snacking on in my Azure Standard Haul video. They are our favorites, and we have not been able to get them the last few times. So we stocked up, and I blame the snacking on the children, but really it's mostly me. That is like my little chocolate fix. We don't do a ton of like sweet baking or sweets in our house just because it's extra effort, honestly. I'm just not a huge baker other than like breads or savory type things. And so we don't frequently have sweet things other than like juice. So there's something about just having a little dark chocolate in the afternoon that is just so enjoyable. So right now I am starting some biscuits. This was the last thing that we made this week, and we actually utilized our sourdough starter a few other times this week, but they were all repeats. So I wasn't going to share that with you guys because you had already seen it. But we do Dutch babies a lot. We do, of course, the regular bread. I do that probably twice, maybe 3 times a week sometimes. And a lot of different things that we just like the discard recipes and stuff. So for this week, I am just showing you everything I did once. I would have loved if I would have remembered to start these biscuits the night before, but I did not, and a lot of times I don't. So I figure, hey, we're using some sourdough starter, you're getting a little bit of fermentation in there, and it's going to be better than not using any at all. So I never assemble biscuits correctly. I don't know why. I always forget this. I always end up adding the sourdough starter before I combine everything, which just makes it take longer to combine everything, but whatever. It's just simple to throw everything in there. I hate actually using separate bowls and everything when recipes tell you to do that. And most often I don't. And there's a good reason to do separate bowls. Totally get it. And if you are wanting a perfect result, then definitely do that. But if you're just cooking for your family and everybody's just hungry, just use as few dishes as possible. Most of the time it'll be all right. So I ended up using a little milk with this. Sometimes I will sub out water if we don't have any milk. But I just went ahead and set this off to the side for a little bit while I got the dinner ready that the biscuits are going on. So again, I'll share that in an upcoming video. But these biscuits tasted great. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but I did add some wheat flour, some of the flour that I've got from Azure Standard. It's just a little healthier for us. I've been trying to incorporate little amounts of it as I can, just to kind of get us a little bit more used to it, to be honest. Because I don't know that we'll ever go full on, wheat or anything like that, but it does help to get my kids more used to that type of bread than just the all-purpose deliciousness. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and just going along with my sourdough starter for its week in the life. So if you did enjoy this, please let me know in the comments. Give me some ideas about how you like to use your sourdough starter. And we'll see you again next time. Bye, guys.